Hello YouTube and the Infinite Magicraid community. Gandalf here, and I'm going to bring you today a PvP tier list. Many of you probably got the chance to see the recent collab that I've done with Karzak on a PvE tier list at E0. Since I focus a lot more on PvP content, what I'm going to be bringing today is really a tier list of PvP heroes, and these are going to be evaluated at their full exclusive and potential. For the most part, I would say these heroes you're basing it off of decent gear, which means on average you're getting about 5 or 6 substats that are relevant to the hero. And we're talking about maybe 4 or 5 if you're using the special sets. So I would say you're looking at near end game gear for all of these heroes, and we're evaluating the potential on those basis. We're also evaluating it in context of the current meta. So I know tier list often needs to be updated, so we're doing this video as of mid-July 2023. So hopefully the meta doesn't shift too much. Hopefully we don't get too many broken heroes that power creep the entire meta and break things. And hopefully I wouldn't have to update this for a few months. But let's get going right into this tier list. Um, if you are just looking for a quick stop to know what to build, you can just look at what's on the top. Pretty much every hero here in God and SS, you want them. You probably want them at exclusive 3. If you can afford to go higher, go higher. Agatha is only attainable to exclusive 3, but for the rest, you could go up to all the way to exclusive 5. Nizil is not really required for 4 or 5. That's where I'll leave it at for the short do not read. And you're just here for a quick sneak peek at what the tier list looks like. So let's get right into it. First, at the bottom section, these are the heroes that you probably won't see any action in PvP. Maybe you will see them before you hit maybe golden or platinum, but definitely once you get into platinum and above, I don't expect you to see any of these heroes. Doesn't matter if they're very high exclusive, they're just not going to see play. Maybe when you're on a brand new server and everyone has a very limited hero pool and they don't have good heroes to build, you might see a couple of them. Any of the established zones, you do not see gameplay from any of these heroes in a PvP setting in the unused category. I won't go through them and name all of them here. You can just look at the icons and find out which heroes they are. The second section is these are really great PvE heroes, but in a PvP setting, they just don't have the right kit. In PvP, you really focus on a couple of things. Turn meter manipulation. You're focusing on high burst damage, not sustain. You're looking for control effects. You're looking for things that can break their defense, remove their shields, remove their buffs, preventing your buffs from getting taken. You want to be able to cleanse the debuff off of you. So again, these heroes here, they have great sustained damage. They mitigate a lot of damage from the boss. They enable entire poison teams to work like Dakota, but again, that's PvE. Very grading dungeons, not good for PvP. The next section up, we have our niche heroes, and when we go through this list, they do have a place in PvP, and I'll also mention a couple of epics here near the end of this list because they serve a specific purpose, and we do see a lot of use for them. So, for example, Hoff at exclusive 3, you start out by defense breakdown and tenacity down on enemy target and mark them with a hunting mark. So in specific teams where you're aiming to burst down the enemy really fast in turn 1, you immediately can get a second turn, and because the defense down, it helps your direct damage dealer, especially direct damage dealer AoE, to secure that kill and get a second turn. So a very good setup. It could be used to target against Brynhilds if you don't have a very good option. The second one is also a very at high exclusive. What he can do is he can single target enemy, steal majority of their turn meter, and freeze them. So very good for single target control. You can use them, say for example, you need a cleave. So Amlec here, single target cleave, you can use it to finish off whatever's remaining. In an AoE setup, you can go for the defense breakdown and tenacity down. So that's another great way of setting up for your direct damage dealers. The next two we got strip, so that's for combos where you need to remove buff. Other than that, they don't serve too much purpose. Yes, Slackdo does have very high AoE potential, so to some extent, you know what, I should probably move Slackdo up to Margarita, but I mean, yeah, let's do that. Damage potential wise, they're similar, but in terms of ease of setup, I would still say Margarita is still a little bit better. Most people just use Slackdo actually for the strip purpose, not for the damage purpose overall. But let's put them there because of, you know, Slackdo having some extra benefits on top of the cleave there. Um, Then we got the poison combo here with Taff and Walter. The only reason they can be used in PvP is because of their high burst potential, and Walter being able to trigger poison on the following turn. Usually, and Taff has very high poison damage due to his exclusive 3. So even with very few stacks, he's able to do high damage. So the two of them paired together, you still can get it to work. The reason why some of these other poison heroes aren't included because you need multiple poison hero for Magdi, um, Dakota, and Melon to work, and you can't afford to have that many DPS heroes on a team. You only really have room for uh, for for two, I guess, for the most part. And I think this is a good time to mention that tier list, in my opinion, isn't the perfect way if you want to think about building your PvP teams. This is really just a good, quick guide in terms of which heroes you definitely want to invest into. For team building, you can check out the videos I have linked below on my 3-part series identifying the different roles heroes play in a PvP team composition, and I'll go into team building that video a little bit as well. I have an in-depth guide on my channel around PvP team building, turn meter manipulation, and go through a lot of examples in PvP team matchups. So you can check out those in the comments and description below. Onto Hez and the HP burn combo. So it's a really good combo when you pair up something with Quinlan where you're getting HP burn on your targets and you're able to trigger them with Hez. Hez is the only way to make this work. So really, if you don't have Quinlan, there are other combos people do very effectively. For example, you can use Milia, a higher exclusive, to AoE the entire enemy team with dots, then trigger it with Hez for 2 layers of HP burn, which usually kills the entire team. Similar combo where you can see Sigmund into Hez as a combo. So again, we're trying to go for 2 damage dealer combos. When you have more than 2 damage dealer on a team, you're really lacking in some other area. So this is the only way to make them viable, hence I put them in the niche category. Zia takes a lot of setup nowadays. You really need to go skill 2 into skill 3. So the way you set it up is to make it an effective nuke, you really have to let Zia go first and follow up with a Abyssin or something, and then follow up with Focus again, whatnot, to really just get that proper nuke set up to fully take advantage of her skills. She's really been power crept. She used to be a really good PvP hero earlier in the days in early game launch as a physical damage dealer AoE nuke. Similar with Sylvie, great single target damage, can hit through immunity, but again, power creep is what's bringing her down to here. It's very hard for her to one-shot targets nowadays when with the introduction of Santa. For a long period, Lucifer was suffering the same problem, but again, Lucifer's damage completely overshadows Sylvie, so Lucifer still see a lot of gameplay, especially in the current setup now where you could really have 2 heroes that pair up with him to join attack. Ariel is a very interesting one. Very high single target damage, and when you get AoE, when she breaks house, so if your opponent AoEs once, you could get Ariel to unstealth and quickly snipe someone down, and if she kills someone, she's going to go back into stealth. So it's a very good interruption and countermeasure Sort of like the earlier days of what Tifia was able to bring to the team. Again, we see very little play of her because it's really hard to get that situation set up. And again, if your entire team is suffering an AoE from a shot, most likely a lot of your team is going to die, so you're probably going to be wiped at that point. Gerda is a very interesting hero because she drastically increases your resistance to buff. So pairing her with someone like Ben Austin, you can kind of have a pseudo immunity team that's immune to all debuff, which is kind of OP in a sense, but it only really works on defense because you're basically playing with RNG at that point. So yeah, so back in the day, you probably want to avoid attacking into a Gerda and Ben Austin team, but you see that a lot less now. Olga and Lysander plays in the same role. Basically, what they do is they do a joint pursuit whenever your other team member does a proactive attack with damage, and Lysander just whenever your other team members are taking a turn. This is a possible combo in very specialized comps that abuse very fast support heroes that take turns, or an early turn burst with something like Lydia with Tifia. So again, very niche compositions when you run them. O'Grady's is a hero that not a lot of you have. She's really good in PvE. For her to work in PvP, you really need heroes that can set up detonation right away at the beginning of the match, and to benefit from that. So maybe if you're setting up something, I don't know, like a Barry with O'Grady's, or I don't know, a Gunner with her, and you manage to somehow get Gunner and Barry to go first, yeah, O'Grady's is going to benefit from having detonation triggering. But at that point, your enemy is already either dead or you're probably dead because you didn't get to go. So making her really in the niche category, it's really hard to actually use her in a PvP setting. Her kit is great, don't get me wrong. So maybe she even belongs here in terms of super great in PvE, just PvP not there. Um, um, Eric adds a lot to the stuns and cleanup. So, Eric plus Barry is a possible combo um, for burn team detonation based. But again, very niche situations. You might see a little play of them if you're desperate and running out of heroes for your 5s comp in the championship match. All right, on to our A tier. So starting off the top, you got 3 control heroes that are okay, but not that reliable. Both Gramdy and Tuck are immune to freeze, and Zara is very high in resistance, making them good CC heroes compared to some of the unusable ones below. Um, and and Zara has at exclusive 3, her debuffs, control effects couldn't. There's a chance for it not to be resisted, so that's really great. So 3 control hero, but again, compared to the other control hero you have above, they're not as reliable or don't have as high of a chance. So that's why you don't see as much of them in higher end gameplay. Coming up next, you got 3 direct damage dealer nukes AoE. What's really great about I don't think I have to explain Margarita and Slacko much. Hits very hard on their ultimate. Slacto has the benefit of strips, removing buffs, so you could remove buff, then follow up with Abyssidon into the nuke, which is a great combo setup there with just one hero. Melchio at E2 allows you to strip, steal all of their buffs, I believe, and then you can nuke very hard on the combo as well. So um, he's also immune to a lot of different control effects. He's not immune to freeze, so in a way it sets him up to be a reliable damage dealer in a way. And we also hear, I think he might be getting rework in the future, so we do hope to see that he gets a lot stronger. Barry and Gunner, very good AoE nuke. I would say Barry has more burst, but Gunner has a little bit more survivability. So especially, I think in mid game, mid tier arena play, you will see, a lot of good use from these heroes. Andreas is great in terms of single target DPS. Can single handily burst down on Brynhild. Agatha from full health with multiple layers of shield, just straight up going for ultimate and doing the kill at E3. So that's why even though as a mostly a single target damage dealer, he's really great. His AoE can go through shields, immunity, everything. So also a great finisher. So a very good hero, and he's also very tanky against yellow faction and red faction, which we see a lot of top end heroes in, as well as the damage dealers. Little Jack does do detonation damage on all his skills, so he goes through a lot of damage. So he is a viable DPS if you're looking for one and you don't have any of the great ones above. Um, Tifia used to be really strong. Then came the classic arena, like the arena changes where all different type of arena got the 40% damage down. So she was having a hard time killing heroes on a single shot. And really to counter Tifia, you just need to bring the stone skin talent, which helps protect one of your allies when they are below a certain percentage health. But now with combination of Lydia, you could technically go Lydia and then follow with a Tifia. So now you got two very quick, strong AoEs hitting your target. Then say follow up with a Lysander and Olga on the target you're hitting. You're gonna get a kill turn one for sure, which is really strong to as the first turn cleave team to be able to kill key targets on your enemy team. Still, that's not going to work against a tanky survive or second turn team there. Um, but for the most part, this is a very solid combo. She moved up in the tier list for many of us in the PvP meta discussion groups due to the what Lydia is able to bring as a turn one like instant nuke. Thanatos saw a very good update with his kit, and once he ramps up, he does a lot of damage. He has very high survivability. So I'll put him compared to Lucifer, Lucifer is really key on the base auto attacks nowadays. With Thanatos, he can kind of stay out of battle a little bit with good number of turns of stealth and ghost. Whenever your allies are killing something, he goes back into stealth. So in the stall team comp meta that we see a lot of right now, where you got Lydia, Panda, and Nordak here, the three of them, helping you to build a very tanky team composition, you can actually throw a Thanatos in there. And we actually did see that at the end of last championship from Bijo, where we saw his Thanatos do amazing amount of damage against the opponent and winning out their Lydia comp because of his high survivability. So an interesting hero that has gotten a very good rework. I do believe we'll see more play of him in the meta, but due to his uncertainty in performance right now, I'm putting him here. Very likely to see him move up as we see maybe slight changes to the meta on how some of the stall bruiser base team work. Then we got Lucia and Nidroid. Again, I will consider them single target DPS. Very good at just nuking down a single hero, bleed, and triggering the bleed on attack. So that's our A tier. Again, great options if you don't have some of the most OP heroes up here. They do their job in PvP to some extent, and many of them do follow a heroic PvE as well. These two heroes are ranked very high from a PvE perspective, so many of them already have, many players already have them built. Moving into our A plus tier, so these are really strong heroes, and if you have them high exclusive, definitely they have great uses. Starting from Guhana, turn meter. Turn meter is a huge aspect, and as you go into my speed tuning video, I explain gaining turn meter is a lot more effective than pushing the opponent back for a wide range of reasons, such as you're not affected by their talent, preventing you from reducing it, and from a calculation perspective, gaining turn meter helps you go faster than trying to push the enemy's turn meter back, especially when they're already faster than you. Um, um, Elsa has a great skill at E3, which means when one of your ally dies, the remaining ones get immortality. So a great cheese is actually to leave her at level 1. And you could cheese entire teams by just having her in the first square in your formation, she's going to die. Rest of your team is going to get more lethality, and easily you're set up for your second turn combo. So if you can't outspeed your opponent in a speed cleave, one way of doing it is just put Elsa at the beginning, wait until the enemy uses all of their skills, then you kill them on the second turn. Thess is a great hero at E3 due to the massive shield you start off with. Luna can do attack down, reduce, heal, cleanse your entire team. So there are great combos with Luna. For example, the double revive comp, Luna with Fiona. Fiona can cleanse Luna, Luna cleanse the entire team. They keep on reviving one another or reviving the rest of your team, paired with things that can trigger things on death. For example, Popper. It's a very annoying team comp and helps with second turn teams and survivability and cleanse. Alec is a great hero because it can enable one of your key heroes not to be CC'd, so you can see him paired with Ben Austin creating a cleanse combo there. You sometimes see Alec with maybe a key DPS like Jilliman, so you can actually use Jilliman into things like Anton, things into Nazel, so Jilliman can finish her combo when she's paired with Alec. So Alec is a really strong support in a PvP setting. Elena does a lot. It boosts your critical damage and reduces opponent's critical damage on PvP, in direct damage. So that's really good when you're mirrored up against a Brynhild or other direct damage dealing team. She strips. She transfers the debuffs on her to the enemy. She defense breaks and she heals and shields. So a very versatile kit at exclusive 3. Mamook has a ton of HP, can taunt the enemy, strip their buffs, so really good for getting rid of the annoying immunities. Then you got you can taunt, and when your team is hit by CC, everyone gets a shield. So great kit to add survivability to your team. Very good pairing with single target DPS heroes. Very good in a stall comp. Medina actually has very strong uses. When she can combo her skill 2 into her ultimate, she guarantees defense down on the enemy, so there is no effective hit check. So you can defense down on like an enemy team of pandas and Santa where there's very high effective effective res. So you will defense breakdown, then go into Spirit Parade, her ultimate, and you will do a ridiculous amount of damage. Also very good if you're very strong counter to Brynhild, which was pretty much everywhere in the meta before Lydia came into play, making Brynhild kind of unusable when they're together. But you still see a lot of Brynhild in Advanced Arena and Championship. So Melodina is a great hero for countering Brynhild. Very effective and very strong cleave combo. Next you got Bolton, pretty much the highest AoE nuker in the game right now. The downside is you can only hit one time with that particular AoE, in the sense that when they have, a Santa's apple, they're still going to survive. If they happen to have the bunny revive, they'll still survive for a second turn. So that's the only thing you have to watch out when you use Belton. I've seen him hit 3 million plus in a single hit. Like, that will wipe out any team. Like, doesn't matter what they have from a survivability perspective. So incredible AoE damage dealer. Bully is also a great AoE damage dealer. He has a passive called Arrogance, so if he's being hit below a certain HP percentage, he's instantly going to get the turn and AoE you back with extra damage output. Very nasty if you fail to kill them. So, for example, in the auto, so right now in PvP finals in Championship, it's fully auto battle. So you're faced up against a bull, and you don't kill it on first shot, and you somehow leave it with low HP. He's just going to turn around, wipe out your entire team. It happens all the time in guild versus guild when you're not helpful, not careful when you're attacking a bull in defense. Happens all the time. So just be really careful. Don't ever leave bull at low HP when you're attacking. Anna, I would say Anna is like the budget version of Nita in terms of the best AoE damage combo with focus. Anna ultimate then focus into Ana ultimate again. Basically gets you 3 detonations, and her detonation on skill 3 has increased by 100%. That, like, easily the second detonation deals anywhere between 1 to 1.5 million damage. The first one's like 500,000. So yeah, clean wipeout on any enemy team. You don't need to build much effective hit into her if you plan to just leverage the detonation component. So very, you could just stack a lot into attack and mastery and she will work just great from that perspective. Especially now you have things like Whistler can boost her attack even further. That's going to just help her wipe clean opponents on a cleave composition very effectively. Okay, so that covers all of our A plus heroes. Moving into pretty much if you have any of these heroes, you really should build them category. Like there's no questions about it. We'll start off from here. Space, giving your entire team a 30% turn meter boost. Pretty much, if your space can go first and the rest of your team is space speed tune, it's nearly impossible to get cut. Whistler, boost a massive amount of attack, then critical damage at exclusive 2. Join attacks with the hero that he's giving the buff to and increase their turn meter by 30%. So when you add a 30% from Space and Whistler, that's 60%. It has really low speed requirement. Like you could get a 3000 speed Space as long as your Whistler can keep up at maybe like 2800 or something. You could run your DPS at like maybe 16 or 1700 speed and they will still go without interruption. So that's massive amount turn meter boost. It's really good because then your low speed attack hero is not going to give boost to enemy Panda or Quinlan. So as long as you can go first, you don't have to worry about the 50% turn jumps coming in from Quinlan and Santa with this kind of a setup, as opposed to say a Space and a Guhana setup where you're only getting 50% in total, and you're still running the risk of getting cut by the enemy Quinlan or Panda if they just happen to be at the right speeds. Next, you got a couple of support heroes here. Catherine basically cleanses on every turn. One of the very few reliable cleansers in the game right now, so she's super valuable on your teams to get out of those CCs, put up the counterattacks, put up the shields and consolidation. Marvel, a really fast Marvel is super annoying, especially paired with likes of Panda or Nordak, where you can buff up, follow up with a Marvel. Now you got buff removal block. Usually you rely on the enemy, you rely on a stripper to get rid of all of these annoying buffs. But with Marvel being really fast and being able to go, that makes it really hard to strip and kill your enemy, drastically increasing your tanky bruiser type teams. Furthermore, her heal just restores your heroes to the highest HP percentage hero. So with that kind of a setup, usually you have a full HP hero. So she's giving full heals, reducing her team's cooldown, and removing and preventing Diva Flux. Combining her with Lydia, like if Lydia actually chooses not to do her E3 for damage reduction, you could be having ridiculous amount of cooldowns on your team too. So it just completely, breaks the game in a PvE setting, possibly in a PvP setting as well. Like imagine you getting your Nordak off, the Marvel reducing it, then Lydia reducing it some more. So constantly having Nordak's immunity up and getting the buff removal up, that is a nasty combo in both PvE and PvP. Focus, just double turn on the ultimate. That's just insane in so many different combos. Absolutely must have. And Focus is coming up in the upcoming Miracle Wish event if you're watching this video early. Yeah, definitely a hero you want to have. Works great at E0. You don't even need skill ups. So a great hero at that. Then you got Lucifer, the best single target damage dealer. And he still wrecks in a PvP setting. You just need to get him to go with Ben Austin, get rid of the buff on the enemy, and he's just going to shoot them down very fast with either his ultimate or basic attacks. Gilliman strips and nukes very hard at full stacks. And so at exclusive 3, you're expecting basically a strip, then with like about 1,760 multiplier on skill 2 coming in real hard at a single target. Yeah, so not much heroes can survive that kind of focus damage. So best strip and AoE, well, best strip and single target damage hero combination owing to 1. And she's a support hero, so she can actually be relatively fast. She can fulfill multiple roles, so awesome hero at that. Definitely you want her at exclusive 3. Allcaster is actually a very versatile hero in a PvP setting. Once he's killing your enemies, he's going to just be gaining more attacks. He has defense breakdown, tenacity down, 2 controls, gets his turn back really quick, has huge leech on first skill. He has immortality every other turn if you don't kill him like to full health from above more than 50% health, or he survives some sort of hit every other turn. So great kit. He comes back to life if he dies, and he passes his passive buff to his allies. So in certain settings, like for example, if you're running an all-caster with Nita, is a great combo for finishing off teams on the enemy. When, for example, a Nita versus Nita, you can't attack into that, but if you got an all-caster, you can take care of the remaining Nita with your all-caster. You're going up against a Brynhild, well, all-caster can solo down Brynhild no problem. Freezes it, break defense, just kill it right away. So Allcaster is a great hero for finishing up the enemy. It's a great hero for ramping up. So as long as you killed someone with Allcaster, he gets to go again. So just a very fast ramp up hero if he's managed able to get some of those damage in. So yeah, very high up there. If you plan to use him in PvP, definitely you want that exclusive 3. In a PvE setting, you can leave it at E0 whatnot. Ascendo is one of the OG best CCs. Very fast, very high base speed. One thing you might want to think about with Ascendo is Ascendo actually increases her own turn meter further every time when you CC your opponent. So if you have heroes like Lydia and you're worried about the enemy using Popper, which is a very common way of anti-Lydia right now, put in Ascendo, and it takes care of that problem. And it's a very effective way of doing it because she's going to be gaining some turn meter when you CC your opponent with Lydia. So she's going to have 30% from her original turn plus some more. Now, of course, Lydia versus Lydia mirror, you're kind of wasting a spot with Ascendo, but if you're using Lydia for a purely offensive setup, you can really catch your opponent off the guard because not a lot of people remember her for that. The other great part about Ascendo is her turn pushback. So turn meter pushback is not something that can be resisted. So even if you can resist her silence, your turn meter is still getting pushback. She guarantees a silence on skill 2 and pushback and steals another 20% turn meter. So from a turn meter manipulation perspective, she can still play that role. Silence is really a bonus in the current meta right now. Quinlan does CC and does a lot of HP burn damage. Great combo with Hez. You still can definitely use that combo in Championship, but in Guild Arena and in Advanced Arena, that is kind of limited. He's mainly used for his CC purposes. Then we're into the SS tier. Here are some of the most broken heroes in the game and absolutely key to team compositions. Popper can take multiple turns, break out of CCs, push the enemy turn meter back, has massive turn meter gain at 30% if he's faster than the team, and he stuns everyone on the opponent's team on death. So a wonderful kit for PvP. You see him in a lot of compositions. In permafreeze when he's pushing back. Right now, great hero if you're trying to build a team without Lydia to counter Lydia. I'll actually do a specific video on that to showcase some of those compositions. Then you got Panda, which pretty much shuts out any CC-based control team, boosting your own turn meter and protecting your entire team, cleansing it. Then you got Santa giving you the extra life coming back from single target nukes that would otherwise have killed you from the likes of Belton, from the likes of Lucifer. Great hero in both PvP and PvE. You see a lot of these limited heroes up here. So if you didn't have the chance of getting them, hope you have the opportunity to get them on their reruns. Esther, Esther originally when she came out, people, well, her kit is like an essay to read. So I don't blame people for not figuring out her kit sooner. But her kit is massive to boosting physical damage dealers. She has way more play in PvP than PvE. Because of her own turn meter gain, she's very easy to follow up. She's going to be able to give 25% turn meter boost to the hero she's protecting over. So a great combo to do something like space into bunny into Gilliman, for example, getting 2 turns of nuke from her there. Another combo is putting Esther with the likes of Brynhild or with Agatha, just putting those OP heroes to a whole new level when they're combined together. Next, with introduction of Nordak, you have massive amount of HP, greatly improving the viability of second turn stall tank teams. You got Ben Austin, who's going to be able to strip and put the valuable buff D block on the enemy, which is going to really allow you to focus down heroes one at a time. Very powerful in stall comps right now. And the reset is the only thing you can't block. So as long as your Ben Austin's effective hit is high enough, you can reset any enemy opponent. So forcing them to just use their basic attack, which is pretty much effectively shutting out the enemy. And the CC goes through buff immunity. So you can't debuff them, but you still can reset their skills. So that's how powerful Ben Austin is from a control perspective as well. Nazil is the OG, control hero that really can beat out any speed cleave comp. So if you're not protected against CCs on your team composition, Nazil can easily shut you out. The enemy is going to get first turn and just wipe out your squishy glass cannon speed cleave team. So that's your SS tier. Definitely, if you have these heroes, definitely level them up. Get the exclusive on them. Nazil needs exclusive one for sure, just like I said, No Below needs exclusive one, but we're talking about fully exclusive heroes. Nazil is the one where, getting 2 and 3 just increase further on the survivability front. So it's nice to have, but the exclusive ones where you definitely need him at. Next part is we now got our God tier. Pretty much, I put these heroes in the God tier because in order they have the capability of destroying an entire team all by themselves, and they have counters to specific team comps in the meta, and they're just very painful to deal with. So let's start out with Lydia, the newest limited hero. She just brings way too much to her kit to the point that, when the content creator group was first shown this hero, everyone just says she's going to break the game, and now she's in the game and she's kind of breaking the meta. She completely changed the Brainhill meta. I guess in a way it brings a little diversity and freshness to PvP. So yeah, it's a fresh up new air, making people really think about how do you counter a crazy hero like this. So what does she bring? Attack up, consolidation. She's going to be able to steal your turn meter 30%. So someone like Space pushes your turn meter back by 30%. Now she just straight up steals 30%. Her skill 2 and ultimate are on 3-turn cooldown. So she's going to be able to bring her skills back very quickly and spam them. On top of that, she's going to be able to increase her damage the more times she uses these skills. Her passive allows her to do more of those annoying AoEs. She's going to reduce your effective hit. She's going to reduce your effective resistance to the point where your Nita is not going to be landing any poison dots on the enemy panda, to the point where your panda loses ability to cleanse. It's just incredible what chaos she brings to the team. She steals your buffs if you decide to do the water curtain passive. So yeah, her kit is insane. For those who managed to get her to E3 at the last event, when she was up on the Miracle banner, congratulations, you have kind of gained a cheat card for one of your PvP teams. Fortunately, in Championship there are 5, so at least others still have a chance to, to deal with all the 4 other teams you have. But here we have exactly 5 broken heroes, so maybe one for each of the teams here. Agatha really at E3, very few people in the game have it. I think I'm aware of maybe 2 or 3 players that managed to get there, or maybe 4 now, I think. Phil's one of them. Bijo, Cosmos account is one of them. Clee's definitely there. I don't know if there's someone 4th person that have gotten it now. But yeah, Agatha E3 is where you want to be with your Agatha. Instantly revives one of your heroes when they die. So yeah, that's very broken in many ways. And she's just immune to CC as long as she has a shield up. So pair her with Nordak just makes it very difficult for you to CC her. She hits like a truck. She gains even more HP as she uses skill 2. So Agatha definitely, if you have her even at E1, E1 is pretty much where you want to start using her. E2 just makes her even more tanky. Her skill 2 hits even harder, help her gain max HP faster. Great on your bruiser comps. Then you got Donald. Donald, you want to start using him at exclusive 3 and beyond. I think we start to see more and more players having him as everyone's finishing up their and going through their Elemental City runs. Donald is able to shut out team compositions that have a single attack hero. For example, a lot of people build a cleave team or a team around Nita. Donald completely shuts out Nita. It prevents the enemy opponent from using their skill. If he dies, he gets into this duel situation with the enemy where the target you have locked onto, and Donald will just do auto attack back and forth until one of them dies every turn. So this becomes a very hard CC, allowing you to target down an enemy hero. So Donald is seen in compositions for anti-Nita. I don't have a Donald either on my account, unfortunately. I can't comment too much on his ability to counter Lydia, but from others within our guild and our PvP discussion group, some of our gurus have pointed out Donald is also a very effective way of countering Lydia compositions. So yeah, Donald hits very hard since his rework. So yeah, work towards your Donald. He's definitely a great hero, especially once you get him to exclusive 5. At exclusive 3+, he's already very useful. Exclusive 5, he just gets more AoEs and be able to counterattack. Wonderful kit for PvP. A very scary kit at that. Brynhild is a one-man or one-woman army. She can literally counterattack an entire team to death if you can't get her CC'd. So we have seen players have built Brynhild with high effective resistance. I don't suggest you do it here unless you have that much stats to spare around. You definitely want to build her with high crit damage and defense, but if you can spare effective resistance, if she can't be CC'd, she is a monster in terms of amount of damage she can put out and punishes your team every time when you hit her. Nita is immune to all dot damage, so you can't hit her through with Andreas. You can't HP burn her to death with Hez. As long as she gets a turn, a single round of her AoE can pretty much wipe out any squishy team. Combined with focus, nothing. Usually there's nothing left when you combine focus with Nita. So now you think about what Lydia brings to the team. So Lydia shuts out most physical damage dealer compositions. Nita is going to shut out any dot-based compositions. So you put Nita and Lydia together, which is pretty much the most common composition in Classic Arena meta right now. That is a very, very painful team to deal with unless you can really exploit some of the weaknesses in their composition. So Nita, crazy damage dealer in PvP. Of course, with that kind of damage, she shines in PvE as well. So hopefully this was a very helpful overview, and I did go into a lot of details about some of these heroes. What are some of the key exclusive you want them at? What purpose they fill? I highly recommend you and thank you so much for listening to me rambling this long. Do go to the bottom, check out the other videos to talk about the roles so you can see how these heroes fit into your PvP compositions. In that video, you will see some of the epic heroes that also fill these roles. So you'll see the like of Bisodin, which is a very important support hero that you will use. You will see the likes of Snow, which is very good for anti-freeze compositions. So check out those videos. It will really help you refine and build your teams for Classic Arena, for Guild versus Guild, Advanced Arena, and the Championship. So best of luck in your PvP journey within Infinite Magicraid. If you like the content here, please click like, subscribe, and support my channel. If you have any questions about any of these heroes, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you so much. Gandalf out.